Happy Wednesday, students. Today I wanted to make a video for you that covers the information I had in the Monday memo as you are getting ready to move from your outline to your rough draft over the weekend. So you have your outline to submit to discussion board. It's Wednesday at the time I record this video, and I think that you should get your outline uploaded by tonight. As I say in the announcement highlighted here in yellow, the completed discussion board requires that you review 2 of your classmates' outlines. And if the outlines aren't there, you can't do the work. And it takes a little bit of time. I have a worksheet at discussion board that's attached that you need to use to review those outlines. We'll do the same thing next week with the rough drafts. All right, so we are at the stage with our literary analysis papers where you have your thesis statement. I've already looked at all of your thesis statements. You know what you want to write about. You did your annotated bibliography, which I will have graded by the end of tomorrow on Thursday. And you're ready to put all of that information in order. So your paper is going to have a minimum of 7 paragraphs. One thing I want to point out is that this paper is really in sort of 2 parts, if you will. So you have your introduction, which will end with your thesis statement. Then you're going to move into your original analysis of your paper. The first 3 body paragraphs are your discussion, your analysis of your theme based on those 3 literary elements, such as foreshadowing or symbolism or metaphor, irony, any one of those that you chose. And each one of these body paragraphs is going to address that particular theme that you state. Look through the lens of that element. So if your theme is, say, like if we're talking about Story of an Hour, and you decided your theme was freedom, Mrs. Mallard, independence and freedom, has newly discovered independence and freedom, or individualism, and you want to look at that through the lens of foreshadowing. So you've got to remember that discussion of in that first paragraph is that theme. Look through the lens of foreshadowing. In other words, how did Kate Chopin, the author, use foreshadowing to show that theme? If we're talking about the Robert Frost poem, and you want to say that the theme is perseverance, so the narrator of the poem perseveres, and Robert Frost uses repetition. The last 2 lines he repeats. How does that repetition enhance that theme of perseverance? So that whole first paragraph is going to cover that first literary element in light of your theme. You've got to remember your theme. Same thing for the second literary element, the third. Then you're going to transition to your second portion of your essay. This is where you're going to address those 2 sources that you found for your annotated bibliography. Those sources don't need to match 100% with what you say. If it's different, that's what you're going to talk about. So after you do your first 3 paragraphs of your body, where you analyze your theme, now you're going to move into your first critic's paragraph, and you will discuss what that critic does with the Story of an Hour, if that's your choice. What does that article say about the Story of an Hour? How is it like your argument? How is it different from your argument? Then you'll transition to the second journal article. Same thing. This second scholar also reviewed and analyzed the Story of an Hour, and this scholar found out this was what they thought. And it's like your argument and it's not like your argument, and you're going to discuss that, and then you'll conclude. All right, so let me go ahead and let me pull up sample outline, or sample essay to show you. So I have this at the announcement, the sample essay, and this is an essay on where are you going, where have you been. And this student opens up this paper with a quote from the story, which is fine. You can open up with a quote. Now, I wouldn't necessarily open up with a quote quite that long, but I would have probably given a shorter quote with more information in between. But other than that, this is a pretty good paper. So then we move into this thesis statement. So the student is going to look at the theme of fantasy versus reality using the literary devices of imagery, foreshadowing, and simile. Okay. So as we discussed, according to your outline, the first body paragraph should cover imagery, and it does. The student starts off defining what imagery is, then moves into a quote that is representative of how Oates uses imagery, again, to establish the theme of fantasy versus reality, and then explains how that quote shows that Connie is in a fantasy world at this point. She's daydreaming. And then the student goes on to further explain the quote, how the quote shows that Connie has an unrealistic attitude or idea of love. So it's a fantasy idea of love. And then the student moves into, there's a transition statement down here at the bottom, and then moves into the second body paragraph that covers the idea of foreshadowing, which was the second element, and how, again, that foreshadowing shows that much of what we learn about is really fantasy, not reality. Okay? And the student builds up this idea that Connie was imagining everything because of her early encounter with Arnold Friend, that person she saw at the drive-in wasn't real, and goes on and explains that idea. And then moves into the final body paragraph of the analysis, which discusses simile, a figure of speech involving the comparison of one. So the student then goes and shows how Oates uses simile to show how Arnold Friend's face wasn't real, it was a mask, and explains that that device, again, shows that this is not reality we're dealing with, but this is fantasy, this is a daydream. Okay, so now, and I have it in red, we move into the students section where the critics are discussed. And you can see there's a transitional statement. Two critics who analyzed Where Are You Going, Where Have You Been both agree that Oates was using Arnold Friend as a devil-like character that represented someone in Connie's dreams. So this is the transition that connects these two sources back to the student's thesis statement, and showing how these two critics had a similar approach. Spends the first paragraph talking about the first article, then transitions into discussing the second article. Again, keeping that comparison to the student's theme. How is it like the student's thesis statement? How is it unlike? And then shifts into the conclusion, where all of that information is sort of rehashed. And then the works cited, all three are on the works cited. Here's the original, and here are the two secondary sources. These aren't all 100% correct. This C should be capitalized, and this, like this book, should be italicized. Same thing for this. Studies in short fiction should be italicized. I'll fix that and reattach it. But other than those minor things, this is a solid essay. Has some minor problems, but you can see the form of it. So this is what you were doing with your rough draft. So let me get out of here. So again, you'll want to get your outline. Here's this student's sample outline. Let me talk about how this outline looks. So this student has a very detailed outline. Your outline doesn't have to be quite this detailed. Your outline can be not essentially, this is essentially the full essay put on the outline worksheet. You can have a little less information, but you want to show on your outline worksheet what you intend to do. You want to pull your quotes that you intend to use. You want to explain in your outline how you intend to use those quotes, what those quotes are going to do for you, so that your classmate can understand what you're doing. You're going to include kind of a rough topic sentence. You're going to try to show how those quotes connect to your theme, and you're going to show how you're going to transition. So you're going to fill this worksheet out, and then you're going to upload it to the discussion board here. Okay, so you're going to go here and you're going to upload it to the discussion board. You've got a worksheet, a peer review worksheet. You're going to download that, and you're going to review 2 of your classmates' outlines. Now, let me make a comment. When you get there, I want you to look and see who doesn't have any comments done. Make sure that that you don't all pile on one student and don't comment on other students. And that's the hazard of being the last person. So you want to get your outline up so you get your comments. The longer you wait, the more chance you have of some class of you not getting any comments because you waited till the last minute of posting your outline. So get your outline posted early. I'm not assigning partners. This is English 112, not 111. I'm going to assume that you're all grown up enough to take responsibility for getting your outline posted early and get that up there. Get that worksheet done. You have till tomorrow night, till Thursday night to get that done. Once you're done with that worksheet, your job is to get that rough draft. That is your work for next week. So all you have this week in terms of homework is this outline. And I've gone over the announcement now. Let's go back here. I've gone over the expectations and how those critical essays, those journal articles that you found, how they're going to be incorporated into your paper. So I have some notes here. Let me cover these notes and then I'll conclude this video. So body paragraphs 1 through 3, again, your own original analysis. You are not quoting from those journal articles in these paragraphs. You are only quoting from your story. And you must have at least one quote in each of those paragraphs. You can have more than one, but you have to have at least one. Body paragraphs 4 and 5, this is where you're presenting your journal articles. How are they like your thesis statement? How are they different from your thesis statement? Okay? And again, you must quote at least once from each of those journal articles. You can use first person in body paragraphs 4 and 5 only, not in body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. That must be in third person. First person can only be used in body paragraphs 4 and 5. You cannot use second person at all. Try to come up with a creative title that ties in with your thesis and hook. That title is part of your hook. And as you move in to your writing your rough draft, set your paper up in MLA style. All right. If you have any questions, send me an email.